events and issues shaping our community. This is Comcast Newsmakers.
We're on the courtyard of the state capitol for Children's Week, and ironically, we actually have a child on the set. Representative Anitere Flores from District 114 and Maximo. Now, if anybody was watching this program last year, we saw Maximo at about, six months old.
About 6 months old,
8 months old. And now he's 19 months old and quite a character, isn't he?
Yep, he is he's the center of our lives, and I was gonna bring him up for the set, but he seems to be behaving.
Yeah, he
And
does.
I guess that's what it's all about. It's about the kids. So happy to have my own up here.
You had a good time out there with Maximo in the middle of all this Children's Week activities?
We did. We had a lot of fun. He was able to help reading some books and help me read some books and be involved down here. And so it was fun. So I'm glad that he gets to be part of the interview today.
Let's talk about a few initiatives you're taking on there. Of course, the education funding is a big issue.
Right.
And that's something that is a priority for many people, especially in this crowd.
Yeah.
And a lot of developments taking place along that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I have the mixed blessing, I guess, of being the chair of the Pre-K through 12 Budget Committee. So as the chair of that committee, I help to decide how to spend our education dollars. And the most important thing that we all advocate for up here, and certainly I do personally, is to put as much funding into our public school system as possible to ensure that even though we're going through a very difficult economic times and through a very difficult budgetary time, that we need to prioritize that funding on education. And so we're facing right now statewide about a $3 billion budget deficit. But the good news as far as it goes with education is that right now in our negotiations, we're at a slightly less than 1% reduction in per student funding. And we still have a couple of weeks left to go before session. And so I'm very hopeful that before we leave this session that we're gonna be at a 0% cut. Mm-hmm. Now what I tell people is that might not be, that's not the best news, because of course we can always put more funding into education.
Right.
But at a time when we're facing historic budget deficits, to be able to hold harmless the biggest part of our budget, I think is incredibly important.
Status quo is a win this year.
I think so.
And we've seen the state budget go down with 3 years in a row. That's like a Florida record, hasn't it?
It sure has. I mean, we've got very high unemployment rates. I mean, everyone's hurting right now. It's not just government, and I always tell people the reason that government has less money to spend is because Floridians have sent us less money. So if they have to do with less, well, then certainly we have to do with less as well. But still prioritize those issues that are most important to Floridians, and that is education, by and far, that being that #1 issue. And this week particularly, having all these children up here, having so many advocates up here, what it shows us is that it's important to have this investment at a young age.
This was one big field trip, wasn't it?
Sure was.
I never saw so many kids on the plaza of the state capitol here, and they were having fun.
That's it. And
we still have music going on back there.
Still have some things. The important thing is that the more of an investment that we put in at the young age, the less that it's going to cost us on the back end, not just on the issues of remediation when kids go to college, but the more funding that we put into important programs like voluntary pre-kinder, the less we'll have to spend on prison funding.
Let's talk a little bit about the sales tax holiday. It's another something you're involved in.
Yeah, so we have, as we know, up until the year 2007, and I know he's hamming it up over here because he is a little ham, but up until the year 2007, we had a sales tax holiday for anywhere between 5 or 10 days right before school started to give Floridians a small amount of tax relief. And unfortunately, we were not able to do that in 2008 and 2009. Well, this year, I've sponsored the bill, and the House of Representatives has already passed it to get that small relief back to Floridians.
Okay.
So if it passes the Senate, which we're hopeful it does, the days of August 15th through 18th will be tax-free on items that are under $50, like your pens, your pencils, and your school uniforms as well.
Okay, Anitere Flores from District 114, the representative in Dade County, and Maximo making all the faces in front of her. Our guest this hour on Comcast Newsmakers. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.